my name is Melissa Muroff. I'm the president of Roof Meadow, which turns 20 this year. At Roof Meadow these days, our team of landscape architects, engineers, construction specialists, and horticulturists are designing some really exciting landscapes and some pretty challenging urban sites. Stay tuned and you'll see some examples of blue-green roofs, elevated public parks. We're even designing nature play spaces in urban play yards and healing gardens at hospitals. So stay with us and please enjoy some of our most recent work. Thank you.
Hello. Well, it's windy up here again and a bit chilly in the spring, and that's as it should be because we are on the 12th floor between two high-rise buildings in downtown Philadelphia. And this illustrates one of the most important aspects of green roofs from my point of view, and that is they should be places of human habitation. In this particular instance, you have a breathtaking view of the city of Philadelphia. At the same time, you're in a protected, intimate, comfortable green space where you can enjoy a break from the street level activity. This project is the culmination of a concept that began developing 15 years ago. And the idea being that we shouldn't be regarding managing water as a fluid independently from managing our landscapes, and that by segregating best management practices sort of into the two categories commonly called gray and green, we're missing the point that when those two types of approaches shake hands, the benefit can be far greater than the sum. So in this particular case, this project illustrates how areas which would otherwise be areas of rapid runoff and stormwater problems have been turned into part of the solution. So all the pavement which I'm standing on here is pervious pavement, pervious because of the seams between the blocks, and overlie what amounts to a 20,000 gallon cistern. The cistern's only 2 inches thick, however. In this way, we can take advantage of large surface areas to hold a significant amount of water for pretty much as long as we want to, and then release it in a measured way to the adjacent green areas. So the green lawn here to my right and the planters on the left, both are directly connected to the pavement that I'm standing on, and water that strikes this pavement is going to flow into the cracks between the pavers, fill the reservoir, which we call a pancake cistern, and then flow through a series of weirs into these green areas. And the design of all of these planters is such that roots are being encouraged to grow down to the base. There's no synthetic drainage layer at the bottom, there's only coarse media, and most of the times, for long times after a rainfall, you'll find that there's water, small amounts of water still standing in the bottoms of these planters. So that minimizes the need for irrigation, it maximizes the stability of the plantings, and in this particular case, this is a park, and it's going to receive, and does receive, a lot of foot traffic and a lot of activity, and the plants have to be able to stand up to that. And part of that is having a reliable source of water, good quality soil, and measures to tide it through periods of dry weather and drought. I'm standing in front of one of the several access points to this roof, which highlights the fact that this is a public resource. It's privately owned and privately developed. It certainly serves the interests of the residents of the two high-rise towers that flank the park, but it is open to the entire public from early in the morning till late in the evening, and it is designed to accommodate large gatherings and events. And for that reason, this project has the opportunity to introduce more people in this city and visitors to what a green roof can be in a much more broader sense than it's normally considered. So the critical aspect that makes this work as a stormwater management feature is that we are trying to squeeze the last little bit of benefit out of the process of evapotranspiration. So our goal is as I pointed out earlier, to capture water and then release it slowly into the vegetated areas, but also to hold water within those vegetated areas for as long as possible, and to choose plants which are deep-rooted and prone to be good prospects for absorbing and evapotranspiring water. So here we have a number of grasses which are just waking up this spring, and which are going to be important contributors to that cause. And of course the turf grass is also a great machine for reducing stormwater runoff volume. What you find in these sorts of installations is that sod, which you normally think of as being relatively shallow rooted in the applications you see it in most daily life, in this setting where we're purposely introducing the water at the bottom of the system, the roots grow quickly and deeply and tend to congregate at the base of the system, which makes the plants more efficient at what they do, and it also makes them more vigorous and robust and sturdy when it comes to dealing with the hotter months that are soon to follow, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to give this green roof a little examination and sort of look into its circulatory system and more. So I am standing on a section of the project which is actually pervious pavement and actually overlies a very shallow pancake cistern, and it's at these locations where the green part and the blue part of the design come together. So from here you can see we have the plastic units which comprise the 2-inch thick cistern, and over above that would be the pervious pavement system, and then a drop down into essentially a little depression which we call a scupper, and inside the scupper a carefully designed weir which is created to meter the water out of the cistern at a rate which is compliant with the city's stormwater release rate requirements. So in a normal cistern that would be the end of the story, but in this particular case it's the beginning of the story. You can probably see in here that there's about 3/4 of an inch of water still standing in here. The last rain was a couple days ago, and this water is being held because there is a drain restrictor which does not allow water to escape the green roof until this step achieves a 2-inch high level. So that gives the grass, in this case, a longer time to absorb that water and to evapotranspire it. And as we get into the warmer seasons, that evapotranspiration rate will increase greatly. I'm going to put this lid back on, and now we'll take a look at one of the drains. So a minute ago, we were looking at the circulatory system of the green roof, and now we're going to look at its alimentary canal. So this is a custom designed cast iron lid, which is meant to be difficult enough to remove to prevent tampering, which conceals the drain for this green roof. And as I pointed out when I was describing the system earlier, this drain has a collar on it which is designed not to release water from the green roof until the water gets high enough to overflow this 2-inch high collar. That means water that fell several days ago is still waiting here to be slowly taken up and evapotranspired. Internal supports are used to support the sides of the access chamber from the earth pressure exerted around it. Hello. This time I'm on the east side of the project, overlooking the Schuylkill River and the high-rise district of Philadelphia. This is a favorite place for people to hang out, And as a result, a series of stone benches have been fabricated in this section so that people can have a quiet area, more protected from the wind, where they can look out over the city. I'm standing on one of the important features of the installation, and that has to do with the drainage. The elevated area, which is to my left, is built up on layers of high-density polystyrene foam. So the thickness of the soil, which is supporting the sod, is uniformly the same at 12 inches, and the water that impinges on the elevated areas will soak vertically down to the base of the system and then flow horizontally to this stone channel that I'm standing on. So this stone channel becomes one of the major areas where runoff finally is collected and taken off of the 12th floor. One of the things I like very much about this project is that it combines a number of really simple ideas and simple concepts and actually simple construction methodologies. And in this particular instance, they're combined into a large, very engaging and interesting space. They could be used equally well in much smaller and more intimate sorts of environments. And the fact that this space is open to everyone to visit and explore and gradually understand what really the meaning of this installation is, gives me hope that this sort of project on this scale and different scales will crop up in increasing frequency around Philadelphia and other metropolitan areas.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura Hansplant. I'm a landscape architect with Roof Meadow, and for me, Sierra Green is a really fascinating pilot project. When the developer and owner, Brandywine Realty, approached us about doing the design, they asked us for two things. They asked us for a design for this elevated park which would function to manage stormwater. It was really important that all the rain that falls on this space is managed by this space, and because there wasn't room on the ground to do so. They also asked for a space which could be an amenity space, an event space, a space to create a vertical neighborhood in the city that would be a place that was attractive and used by both the residents of the two mixed-use residential towers and could be open for events. And anything was possible for the events. It could be weddings, it could be dance parties, it could be movie nights, it could be an exercise class. Their thinking is still evolving, and there's all sorts of possibilities for what they could do here. So when we heard that, we said, goodness, we have a small dilemma, because generally, in order to get credit for a green roof in the city, the roof has to be largely planted, because the plants and the soil together manage the rainfall and the stormwater. And if you then try to pave it, the paving has to be very dispersed, a little bit of it, but not too much in any one place. And that doesn't really fit with what you need to have in order to have an event space. And when we said this back to our client, they said, well, goodness, no. We need to figure this out, because it's really important to us that this space also function as event space. And in hindsight, that is the best when that happens. When a client comes to you with a design challenge that doesn't fit in the normal box, within the normal range of solutions that you might bring to a project. And so we went away and had to put on our thinking caps and pull out our pencils and think about how we might approach it. And the result here is Sierra Green. Here at Sierra Green, the space is designed to be very flexible and to accommodate a wide range of events. Anything from the quiet hanging out and social time that the residents of the adjacent residential towers might have, to large events. The central space is designed to be big enough to accommodate a large crowd, even a tent. A tent does get put up during the, if there's a corporate event or a reception or a wedding. The sides of the space are sloped so that there is almost an amphitheater-like quality where you can sit up on the grass if they have a movie night, if they have a concert. There is the potential to be able to sit out on the grass. The rest of the paving is designed to be able to hold an Art in the Park event. It's a little wider, so there's a range of scales to accommodate a range of activities. One of the wonderful opportunities at an elevated park like this one is the opportunity to provide social places, amenity spaces, which complement what you can find on the ground. They're fundamentally distinctly different, or they offer different possibilities because they are slightly private. So you have a chance to hang out, relax, and you're not as on stage as you would be if you were in a public space on the sidewalk. It also means that the owner is able to have events which can be somewhat private, again, and have a setting which gets to enjoy the great views of the city, but also can be a little bit exclusive, a little bit secluded, and a little bit more. The space can be controlled a bit more. So as you can see, the people who live here use this for sunbathing, for exercising, for walking their dogs, and it's publicly open, it's available to the public, but it's not, it's a little bit quieter and a little bit more protected, and that's a great complement to what the rest of the neighborhood also offers. An important part of the planting design was to be able to have to be able to evoke the American prairie or a meadow landscape in the broad sweep of this space, particularly where the grasses could be silhouetted against the skyline of the city. You can see the movement of the grasses. That's not easy to see at this season because everything's cut back, but in the late summer and fall, the movement of the grasses is spectacular. And it was important to us to be able to bring nature into the city and to be able to evoke our natural landscapes in an environment which is usually much more clipped and controlled. So the planting design uses several different kinds of native grasses, ornamental grasses, and combines them with flowering perennials and wildflowers in ways that are evocative of what would happen in a more natural meadow planting, but which are somewhat more ordered so that they can be compatible with the more corporate and groomed environment that is also part of the park. So it's interesting to me to be able to track the qualities of the plants through the different seasons, to see how they change from spring and summer and fall. And part of what we're excited to do is to be able to follow their performance and to be able to supplement them and watch this landscape as it evolves.
This is only one example of how the basic philosophy of combining blue and green technologies to create an urban landscape which is greater than the sum of its parts. Other examples come to mind. An early one, 15 years or more ago, is the Rams Head Plaza in Chapel Hill. That project involved Andrew Pogon and Cahill Engineers, as well as our own firm, and involved a very similar technique with a very different aesthetic, but also a large-scale public area, which is now a mature park. More recently, the LaFrac skating rink at Prospect Park in New York City also involves a combination of water capture from pavement, cycling through a green roof with water capture and consumptive use for irrigation. The possibilities are really endless. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the person that set me on this path over 20 years ago, Dr. Toby Turbier, who was then a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, but had grown up in West Germany and had introduced me to the concept of not only green roofs, but the potentiality of what green roofs could be in the United States. And I'm happy to say that after almost 2 decades that I believe that we are finally acquiring a level of expertise and design acumen which is a match for what has been a staple of landscape design in Europe.